evening, everyone. I'm Anandika, your evening host and management trainee at Adore. Before we begin, let me give you a quick introduction to.
I think he has some network issue. Hello?
Hello, Anandika, are you there?
Okay. So, because Miss Anandika, her network is not so good, I would like to greet you all. Good evening. My name is Violet. I will be your evening host, and I'm a management trainee here at Adore. Before we begin, I would just like to give you a quick introduction to Adore. Adore is basically just a global network of students and young professionals like yourselves. We're all united by a passion of inspiring youth to make a positive impact. We connect youth and established professionals, whereby we offer a platform to learn from their journeys and their insights. Now, on behalf of Tim Rowe and Adore, we are excited to welcome you to tonight's webinar on branches of psychology. In this session, you'll gain a fascinating look into the diverse fields within psychology, from clinical to cognitive and beyond. To make this session more interactive, we kindly request everyone to switch on their cameras, please. We have all been waiting for this moment. Our esteemed guest, Ms. Prarthana Sunil. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Ms. Prarthana is a 12th grade student from Abu Dhabi, UAE, with a passion for psychology and dedication to volunteering work. As an aspiring psychologist, she's here to share her knowledge and enthusiasm with us. Ms. Prarthana, it is truly a pleasure to have you with us today, and we are all eager to learn from your insights. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much for the introduction. So today we're gonna go through what branches of psychology is all about. Before that, thank you, Violet, for the wonderful introduction. Yes, my name is Prarthana Sunil. I am a grade 12 student, a humanities student. I am an aspiring psychologist wanting to pursue psychology as my career. So, which is why I've chosen this topic of branches of psychology. I'm pretty sure that everybody is known to the word psychology, but how it is diverse and the different branches of it, making life more easier in different aspects, how people work together, is something that not everybody knows about. It's still an emerging field of psychology, and so let's go with it. So before we start with what branches of psychology are, let's just see what psychology is all about. So psychology is the scientific study of the mind, exploring how we think, how we act, and what makes us us. So psychology helps us to understand, making it easier for us to solve problems, connect with each other, and improve our well-being. So there are a lot of branches of psychology, each looking at human behavior in various aspects. So psychology has been derived from the Greek word. So psyche meaning soul or the mind, and logos meaning study. So that's why psychology is known as the study of the soul or study of the mind. Now, branches of psychology. Psychology is a huge field, and which is why it is divided into various branches. Each branch of psychology is connected to a specific part of the human experience, which is why it is linked to mental health, learning, social, and cognitive behaviors. By having these kind of specialities, psychologists can dig deeper into these areas and help us to understand ourselves, improve our well-being, and make us a better person in the society. Throughout this whole webinar, I hope you guys will understand the different branches of psychology and how each branch plays a vital role in everyone's life. So here are some of the branches that we're going to go through. We're going to go through the clinical psychology, cognitive psychology, developmental psychology, social psychology, industrial organization psychology, education psychology, health psychology, forensic psychology, sports, and neuropsychology. So now, clinical psychology. Clinical psychology is probably the most familiar branch. I'm pretty sure everybody's heard about it. And yes, it does focus on the mental health treatment. Clinical psychologists help people in dealing with issues like depression, anxiety, and other mental health challenges. They use therapy techniques to help people to cope with these issues in a healthier manner so they can have those, it can help them to improve their daily life quality. Clinical psychologists usually work in hospitals, clinic, or they also have they do private practices and help people to go through tough times in a healthier way. Now, cognitive psychology. Cognitive psychology is all about the way we think. It's the cognition. It looks at the mental processes like decision making. For example, cognitive psychologists may study how we remember information or how we solve certain problems. This branch of psychology understands how the mind works and also is applied in AI, education, and technology. So cognitive psychology digs more on the processes of information and why we do things the way we do. Now we have developmental psychology, which looks at how people grow and change over time. It covers from childhood to old age, that is our whole lifespan, studying the physical, the emotional, and the mental development that we go through. Developmental psychologists focus on things like language development in kids, identity formation in teens, or memory changes as people grow older, like dementia. This branch helps us to understand the stages of life and what influences us to become what we are at different stages. Next, we have social psychology. Like the name suggests, social psychology is about how people interact with each other and how the society influences our thoughts and our behaviors. This includes like social media influence and why we sometimes act differently in front of certain people. Social psychologists want to answer questions like why do people conform in group, or how does social media have an impact on our self-esteem? Understanding these issues help improve communication, reduce prejudice, and increases and guides us in fields like marketing and policy making. Now we have industrial or organizational psychology. Industrial organizational psychology is usually applied in workspace. That is, psychologists focuses on the employee motivation, satisfaction, and improving productivity. They help businesses create more better work environment and helps individuals to become more happy and are satisfied with to their utmost happiness. It's all about understanding people and how workplace can be a better place for us to work more harder in a more positive environment. Next, we have educational psychology. Educational psychology looks at how we all learn. It's about finding the best ways to teach and understand and absorb information. Education psychologist works on things like learning styles, motivations, and helping students with special needs. They help teachers, and schools create strategies to help them improve learning and education styles so that it's more effective and accessible for all students. We have health psychology. Now, health psychology is a branch that focuses on our thoughts and our behaviors and how that affects our health. Health psychologists mainly aim to study things like lifestyle choices, stress, and how people deal with illnesses. They might find people quit smoking, managing stress, or adopt healthier habits. Health psychologists also emphasizes on the body and the mind
Sorry to
connection.
interrupt in between, Pratna. Everyone, please turn on your cameras. We can have a more engaging session if you all can turn your cameras. Thank you. Pratna, you can continue.
Yes. So health psychology also emphasizes on the mind and body connection and also shows how our mental state can really impact our physical health as well. We have forensic psychology. So forensic psychology seems very interesting, and forensic psychology is basically the legal side of psychology, where forensic psychologists work with the law enforcement and the courts, often doing things like assessing people who are fit to stand trial, or profiling criminal behavior, understanding why criminals do what they do, and to help the legal experts with their work. They also provide expert testimony or work with victims to help them cope. It's a mix of psychology and law, and it's all about understanding the mind and involves criminal justice system. We have the sports psychology. So, sports psychology mainly focuses on the mental factors that influence the sports performance. Sports psychologists work with athletes to set goals and manage anxiety. So, they manage anxiety and boost confidence so that the athletes can reach their utmost maximum and can be happy with the result that they gain. They may use techniques like visualization. Visualization is basically creating a vivid mental image in our imagination. And they also use relaxation to help techniques to help athletes perform better in their field. Sports psychology is also all about understanding what drives the athletes, what gives them the motivation, and what helps them to reach their peak performance. We have the neuropsychology. So, neuropsychology is a field that's been very known nowadays. It's basically the study of how the brain and the nervous system has an impact on the behavior. So, neuropsychologists have worked with people who have suffered from brain injuries or neurological disorders to understand how specific damage in some areas of the brain can affect the person's behavior. Now they use tools like brain scans or tests, cognitive tests to figure out what's going on in the brain. They also use tests that range of mental functions like reading, language use, attention, and learning, and how it influences how we act and what we are. It's like a crucial branch for understanding conditions like dementia or brain injuries. So, sorry. Yeah, now the conclusion now that we've known more about all these branches, psychology is an ever-evolving field, and it's not just about understanding sick people or people with mental issues. Today, psychology is a branching out field that's going to different directions and making sure that every aspect of our life has been taken into account. We have explored some of the well-established branches, but there are newer and emerging branches that are still adapting to the challenges of the modern society. So it is very new to people, and it's not really well known, and it's still emerging into, in careers and all of that. So now let's go through like some of the newer branches of psychology which are not so known to us. Now, positive psychology. Positive psychology is what focuses on the strength, virtues, and factors that help us as human beings to thrive and aim to improve our well-being and our happiness. Cyber psychology is something about the digital world, including social media, virtual reality, how those influence our thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. Next, we have the environmental psychology, which explores on our physical surroundings like nature, then urban spaces, architecture. How all of these impact our mental well-being is what environmental psychologists focus on. We also have political psychology, which investigates how psychology crosses with political beliefs and how that together helps us understand our voters' behavior, identity, and what polarization is all about. Then we have the evolutionary psychology, which examines the psychological traits as adaptations shaped by evolution. That is, looking at behaviors that have evolved and through centuries for survival. We also have community psychology, which is about the social relations and empowerment within the community. It aims on improving group and individual well-being within the social community contexts. We also have the psychology of sustainability, which I also found out very, very recently. It looks at how sustainable behavior is, how why we choose to adopt or resist eco-friendly habits, and how we can promote sustainable behaviors. So now we see psychology is constantly growing and adapting to the world, and it has been, whether it's been like human behavior or whether it's in the digital age as well, it's improving our connection with nature or supporting communities. Psychology is relevant than ever. It's a very powerful field that not only helps us understand ourselves but also the people around us. In a way, psychology bridges science and everyday life, offering tools to create a healthier, happier, and a more connected world. Thank you so much for joining this journey about psychology, branches of psychology, and I hope this gave you some information. If there's any questions that you guys would like to ask me, please do.
Thank you, Ms. Pratna. We invite participants to please open their mics and ask the questions, or if that is not possible, please submit them in the chat box and Ms. Pratna will answer them shortly.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
In today's okay, today the society is like so focused on their mental health, and we're trying to understand, like our behaviors more, especially as like the Gen Z. Which branch of psychology would you say, like, to you, which branch of psychology would say is like one that needs to be like studied more, that like people should know more about?
Okay, so because we're talking about the recent times and the recent people like now the Gen Z and all, I think cognitive psychology is something that would be suitable for understanding ourselves, because it's all about how we think and how we act the way we do, right? So I think that would make us understand ourselves better, and maybe if we are in the wrong path, we can change ourselves to be better people in the society.
Okay, thank you so much.
I had a question.
Yes, please.
Okay. So there are like a lot of misconceptions about psychology even in today's world. So what do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions, and what do you think can be done to do away with these misconceptions?
Okay, I think the biggest misconception about psychology is that people get confused between psychiatry and psychology. That is, yes, psychology focuses on our well-being and understanding ourselves better. But psychiatry is more of diagnosing mental disorders, and it only it only helps us only if we take medicine. So there are medical doctors who help the patients to recover, but in psychology, it's more of lesser serious issues that won't cause harm to the society.
Okay, thank you.
Pratna, there's one question from Isha. She has typed in the chat box. It is that what would you advise to someone interested in pursuing psychology?
Okay, so as a fellow psychology student, I think when I joined psychology, I thought it was all just about psychological disorders and how people treat them, and how we as psychologists are the future and we need to help the people around us. But I think more than that, psychology is about ourselves, what we are and why we act, why we think the way, it's all about ourselves. So someone who wants to pursue psychology, you need to make sure that you know how to keep boundary between your personal feelings and the feelings that you would show between to the client. Because when I had a workshop for psychology, I heard that a lot of people, like a lot of psychologists, have their own psychologists because sometimes they don't know how to keep the barrier for their emotions. So I think you need to be emotionally strong, and yeah. So if you want to pursue psychology, then that's great. Like it's an amazing field, and it's very outgoing. And I think everyone's trying to go for psychology, but then in which field you want to go really matters. So yeah, good luck with that.
Thank you, Pratna. Also, what is your favorite branch of psychology?
Oh, I think my favorite branch of psychology would probably be Forensic psychology. So because it's all about law, legal. I'm also a political science student. So I think it's really intriguing how law and psychology also plays a big role in, solving cases and all.
All right. Thank you, Prarthana.
Thank you.
Okay, Pratna, there's one question from Vishal. So he has asked that what advice would you give to someone interested in pursuing industrial organizational psychology in the context of today's workplace dynamics?
Okay, so I am still a 12th grade student, so there's nothing I can really advise you about, but I can tell you that industrial organization psychology is something that's also very prevalent in nowadays time, because work stress and work pressure is so much on people nowadays that they push themselves so hard that they don't realize that they're causing harm to their mental health. So as industrial psychologists, I think it would be so helpful in not just, I think it's just in MNCs, like that they're very known, these psychology the psychological branch is known, but I feel like it should be there in more like even smaller companies, because work is work, so, and stress is stress, so you're going to be, you need help, and sometimes you want to seek somebody else's help and you don't want to tell it to your people that you are really close with, because you don't want to burden them with your feelings and because they have their own problems. So I think industrial psychologist is very prevalent, and I think it's gonna be like very famous by the time as the years go by, like clinical psychology. So yeah, there's nothing I could advise about because I'm still getting and learning about all of this. So I hope this answered your question.
Yeah, I think so. That's a wonderful answer. So one question from my side that okay, it's a general question that let's talk about educational psychology. What do you think are the most pressing issues in how we approach learning today?
Okay, so
About our like education system and how we approach. So you can take time, you can think about it, and
yeah.
you can speak. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I just need a little time. Do you mind repeating your question once again?
Yeah, sure. Like, I'm asking, what do you think are the most pressing issues in how we approach learning today with respect to educational psychology? Till then, I would request any other participants that if you have any questions, you can type in the chat box or you can also ask verbally.
Yeah, I have a question. It's like a general question. I think
Yeah,
most people
just
have this question, but they're just too afraid to ask, but I'm just gonna do it. How exactly does
Violet, just
psychology?
wait.
Mhm.
Let Pratna answer my question.
Yeah,
After that,
she
you
will
can.
remember this question for sure. How does
Okay, okay, sure.
psychology relate to therapy, or what's the difference? Like, are they the same? Is it the same thing? Is it a branch of something? Like,
I'd answer Ms. Anandika's question. I'm not really sure if this is what you're looking for, but I think the main issue like now is I think the digital media. So I think the digital there's like a distraction in the even though like digital media is used in education, and it does help students to be informed about things. I feel like it is also a distraction to students because it does impact on their attention span and their cognitive development. So I think that's like one reason. Also, the education style in different syllabus, not syllabus. I'm sorry. In different. Oh my God, I'm not getting the word. Like CBSE is different from ICSE, so like the education system of is very different from each other, and the way students learn, like some students would prefer to have visual, and some people would prefer auditory learning. So I think this also impacts the way they get information and how they store it in their mind. Also, overall growth of their academics also get affected because of this understanding and skill development. So I hope this is what you're looking for.
Yeah, sure. But one thing I would add on, as we know that there are students who take a lot of mental pressure because of the education system. What aspects can you relate with that of psychology?
Okay, so yes, there are a lot of students who do take this as a very big thing, and I mean, as a student who's gonna take a board exam, it is quite stressing, and it does give a lot of anxiety to think about it. But I think it's because of the pressure that we put on ourselves, maybe even at home or even at school, we have this standard that we have to keep up with so that our academic performance go with it. So I think getting informed about what should be taken very, very seriously, and when we should take things seriously and stressful is supposed to be taught as individuals in the society, because after school we're going to a different world like university and workplaces, and we need to know how to deal with it more effectively, and it shouldn't cause harm to our mental health.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was a wonderful answer. You can answer to Violet's question as well.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, psychology and therapy are related, but they're not the same thing. So psychology is it's like a study. It's a study about the mind, the behavior, the mental processes. And it's about how we act, how we think, how we feel in like different ranges. So, but therapy is all about application of, when you apply psychology in real life, that's when you're providing therapy. That's you're helping people address their personal issues or their mental health issues using certain techniques and guiding them to become a better person in the society. So I think that is what therapy does, but psychology is about understanding.
Okay,
That
thank
was
you
a
so much for that. Yes.
that was a wonderful question answer round. So, as we approach the closing of today's webinar, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to Ms. Pratna, Simran ma'am, Dinesh sir, and Pradipta sir, as well as the organizing team for making this event a success. Adore is a global network of students and young professionals, all passionate about inspiring youth to make a positive impact. We connect you with professionals and offer a platform to grow and learn. If you are interested in joining, please visit our website. We have shared a feedback link in the chat box, and we would be greatly appreciate your valuable feedback. Once again, thank you all for joining us. This concludes our webinar. You may leave the meeting. And thank you so much, Pradna. It was a wonderful event.
Thank you so much for providing this opportunity, and thank you everyone for listening to me. I hope this inspired you in some way.
Thank you.